Welcome to this week's Workplace series. Today, we're talking about leadership habits. So Aristotle is often credited with the idea that we are what we repeatedly do. Now, whether or not he said those exact words in precisely that way, the point still holds. What you do repeatedly becomes your behavior. And over time, that behavior becomes habits. And eventually, that becomes your leadership reputation. So, what leadership qualities are you deliberately cultivating? Now, look, there's endless books and countless leadership traits, but in the real world, the best leadership style depends on a situation. For example, if you're leading through a crisis, you're going to need speed, decisive action, and that can mean that at times you're doing that with less or limited consultation. If you're leading a large-scale transformation, you're going to need greater consultation, more alignment, deliberate pacing. So different moments call for different moves. What I've seen though is during times of change, leaders, who tend to do it best, demonstrate 4 key qualities. And I often think of them as the 4 Ds. Firstly, decisive. They know how to seek input, make a call, and move on. They act, they learn, and they course correct when they need. Flexible, yes, but they're not vague or paralyzed by indecision. They're also disciplined. They take in information from multiple sources, they zoom out, gain perspective, then they zoom in to analyze options. That discipline is what stops the change from becoming chaos. It keeps decision-making connected to the end goal. They're also determined. They accept that not everything is going to go their way. Not everything is going to work out as planned. They learn fast. They persist through setbacks, and they create confidence in others to take smart risks because they're not going to punish people when things don't go to plan. And lastly, they're devoted. They stay committed to the vision and they care about the human experience of change. They're going to balance the organizational needs with what teams need and what individuals need and the reality that goes around that. And most importantly, they're willing to change themselves, not just demand it from others. Now, of course, that list isn't exhaustive. It's just a prompt because when you're leading change, you need to stay conscious of how your style is landing and not just how you intend it to land, but how it's being experienced. So there's a few questions that can help you figure that out. Firstly, what are people saying to you? And what are they not saying to you? Is it that you're the last person to hear bad news? People don't want to bring issues to you? How engaged is the team? Is there real connection, real cohesion? Are you having those deep, meaningful conversations? Are you making genuine progress? Or are you stuck in that churn that can happen? Are there unresolved issues, tension or conflict that you and your team is avoiding because it just feels easier to sidestep it? All of the insights you'll get from that, answering those questions, are early indicators. To support that, here are 3 things. Firstly, be open to feedback and from all levels of the organization, not just your inner circle. Secondly, be willing to self-reflect. Notice how you're reacting under pressure. And thirdly, be open to trying new approaches because change is going to demand different gear shifts from you as the change progresses. Being a change leader is not a title, it's a practice. And when you practice it well, with deliberate intent, it becomes a really strong leadership habit. Take care. I'll see you next week.